All right, let's talk about that space between your ceiling and your roof. You know, that spot you probably never think about? Well, as a roofer here in Sydney, I can tell you it's one of the most important and, honestly, most forgotten parts of your whole house. So today, we're going to climb up there, so to speak, and see what's really going on. So, does this hit close to home? Your bedroom feels like an oven on a hot day. Or maybe you've noticed some weird dark spots on the ceiling. What if I told you all those headaches often point back to one single thing? Your roof just can't breathe. Let's break down what that actually means for you. The solution, believe it or not, is pretty simple. It's called roof ventilation. Now, it's not some super complicated idea, but here in Sydney, getting it right makes all the difference between a house you love living in and one that's causing you all sorts of expensive problems. The easiest way to wrap your head around it is to think of your roof cavity as the lungs of your house. It needs to breathe. Good ventilation is just a system that lets cool, fresh air in and pushes all that hot, stale, damp air out. When that's working, your roof space doesn't turn into a giant heat trap in the summer or a damp cave in the winter. It's that simple. And let's be real, our Sydney climate really puts our homes through the ringer. You've got that blistering summer heat, the coastal humidity, you name it. Your roof is taking the hit day in and day out. And if it can't breathe, that empty space up there becomes a real breeding ground for trouble. Now check this out. On a typical hot arvo in Sydney, a roof space without ventilation can easily get over 60 degrees Celsius. That's not a typo. And all that heat doesn't just hang out up there, no way. It radiates straight down through your ceiling, making your aircon work overtime just to keep you comfortable. So, when your roof is suffocating, you get three big problems. First, like we just said, your house turns into a sauna. Second, all the moisture from showers, cooking, breathing, it all gets trapped up there. And that leads to dampness, mold, and even rotting timber. And third, that constant baking in the sun and getting damp, well, it actually shortens the life of your roof materials. And this is so important. Not all of Sydney has the same problem. If you're out west, say Penrith or the hills, your biggest enemy is that dry, scorching heat. You need something powerful to yank that hot air out. But if you're closer to the coast, like the eastern beaches, it's all about humidity. There, you need constant airflow to stop moisture from building up and turning into mold. So how do you know if you've got a problem? Well, you don't need to be a roofer. Just do this quick check. Go and touch your ceiling on a hot day. Is it warm? Are your summer power bills just insane? Or have you noticed that musty smell you just can't seem to get rid of? If you're nodding along to any of these, yeah, it's probably time to look at your ventilation. Okay, so what can you actually do about it? Well, there are really three main players in the game when it comes to ventilating a Sydney roof. Let's look at your options. All right, here's the no-fluff breakdown. First, you've got the classic Whirlybirds. They're cheap, they're simple, but here's the catch. They only work when it's windy. On a still, 40-degree day, the exact moment you need ventilation most, they're basically just decoration. Then you've got solar vents. These have a little solar panel that powers a fan, so it's actively sucking hot air out. They're super powerful and they work best when it's sunny and hot. The only real catch is they cost a bit more upfront. And finally, ridge vents. They run right along the peak of the roof. They look great because they're so discreet, but they're really an option for when you're building a new roof from scratch. So, you've seen the options. Which one is actually the right fit for your home? Well, it really just comes down to your budget, where you live, and what you're trying to achieve. Let's make this really simple. If you're on a tight budget and you live somewhere with a reliable breeze, Whirlybirds are definitely better than nothing. But for real performance, especially if you're out in those scorching western suburbs, solar vents are the absolute champion. They will make the biggest, most noticeable difference. And of course, if you're building a new home or doing a big reno, that's the perfect time to look at a sleek ridge vent system. Okay, picking the right product is just step one. Where you really get the value is in a proper installation and understanding the benefits you'll be getting for years to come. And this is probably the number one question I get. Okay, this sounds great, but will it actually save me money? And the answer is a definite yes. Just maybe not how you're thinking. Look, you're going to see that return on investment in a couple of ways. Right away, you'll see it in your power bills because your aircon won't be fighting a losing battle against a 60-degree roof cavity anymore. But the real savings? That's long-term. By keeping your roof space dry, you're preventing hugely expensive repairs from timber rot or serious mold problems down the line. It's really the best kind of preventative medicine for your home. And please, listen to me on this one. Whatever you do, don't skimp on the installation. This isn't just about slapping a vent on the roof. A pro will figure out the perfect placement based on your roof size, the pitch, and the local conditions. A proper installation is what makes sure this thing works for the next 20 years instead of causing a leak after the first big storm. At the end of the day, I get it. Roof ventilation isn't exactly exciting. You're not going to have friends over to admire your new solar vent, but you will feel it. It's one of those quiet, smart investments that just keeps paying you back every single day with a home that's cooler, healthier, and just more comfortable to be in. So, I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. After everything we've talked about today, the warning signs, the options, the benefits, is your Sydney roof actually able to breathe?